All right, so today we're going to do a deep dive on Jay Mazini.
Okay.
This is a guy who went from like Instagram Robin Hood
Yeah.
to facing some pretty serious federal charges.
Yeah. That's quite a journey.
Yeah, talk about a fall from grace,
I think
right?
sure.
So was he legit or was he a total fraud? I mean, like, was he a visionary who kind of got caught up in something shady, or, was he a master manipulator like from the start?
Right.
That's what we're here to try to figure out today.
It's fascinating, like, when you look at how he built his whole persona around generosity. Those videos where he's just showering complete strangers with cash?
Oh, yeah.
And then to make it even crazier, he even, like, teamed up with celebrities to do it. Like 50 Cent.
Right.
Which, kind of gave him this air of credibility.
Totally.
But then, boom, the FBI comes knocking.
Yeah, what a twist.
It's wild.
I mean, like, you see those videos and you can't help but wonder, right?
Yeah.
Like, is this for real?
Yeah.
Like, it's just so much of his early social media was just all about these, like, random acts of kindness.
Mm-hmm.
It was like watching a real-life superhero, but with cash.
Yeah. Wow.
Handing out money to fast food workers, shoppers at Walmart, like, you name it.
Right. And he was really smart about it, too. Like,
Yeah.
he even went out of his way to emphasize his Muslim faith and, all of his charitable activities, which, definitely resonated with a lot of people.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
It makes total sense.
Yeah.
So you've got this, like, super charismatic guy who's building this massive following on social media.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like you mentioned, there was a dark side to the story.
Right.
When did the scams actually come in?
Well, his first major scheme was called Halal Capital, LLC. And as you might guess, this targeted members of the Muslim American community, specifically in New York.
Right.
He promised these like halal investments, which, played on the idea that they were ethically sound and, permissible under Islamic teachings.
Yeah.
It was actually a brilliant way to build trust within a specific community.
So he was essentially like leveraging their faith
Exactly.
to make the scheme seem more legitimate.
He claimed that he would be buying things like hand sanitizer, electronics, masks, all in bulk, and then reselling them for profit.
Okay.
But here's the catch. It was basically a Ponzi scheme.
Oh, wow.
So he was using money from new investors to pay off the older ones, all while pocketing a huge chunk for himself.
And how long did this actually go on for before people started realizing something was wrong?
It's tough to say exactly when the cracks started to show,
Yeah.
but Igbara's lavish lifestyle definitely raised some eyebrows.
Of course.
Like, he was splashing cash on luxury cars, jewelry, gambling, all funded by the very people he was supposed to be helping.
Wow, that's just... So he's living the high life while all of his investors are left wondering what's happening with their money?
Yeah, pretty much.
So what happened next? Did he try to cover his tracks at all?
He did,
Oh.
and that's when things got even more complicated. He needed a way to keep the facade going and repay those investors that he had. So he came up with this whole new scheme involving Bitcoin.
Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Okay, now this is getting really interesting.
Right.
Tell me more.
So Igbara starts offering to buy Bitcoin at above market prices, which of course caught the attention of a lot of people.
I mean, who wouldn't be tempted by that?
Exactly. But here's how he pulled it off. He would convince people to send him their Bitcoin, promising to send them cash in return.
Okay.
And to make it seem even more legitimate, he would send doctored images of wire transfer confirmations as like proof of payment.
Oh, wow.
But when you dig deeper, the bank records tell a completely different story. He often didn't even have the funds to cover those transfers that he claimed to make.
Hold on. So he was basically stealing people's Bitcoin with these fake wire transfers.
Essentially, yes.
Wow.
He was playing on people's trust and using technology to create this elaborate illusion. It's a reminder that even in the digital age, the oldest tricks in the book can still work if they're packaged in a really convincing way.
This is crazy. So we've got the halal investment scheme, the Bitcoin scam.
Yeah.
It seems like he was just digging himself deeper and deeper into this hole.
Yeah, he was.
How did it all eventually catch up to him?
It's actually pretty interesting. You know those online sleuths you often hear about?
Oh, yeah.
Well, they played a significant role in his downfall. They started noticing inconsistencies in his stories and began raising red flags online. They were questioning his claims, scrutinizing his videos, and ultimately started putting the pieces together.
Yeah, it really is a testament to the power of, like, collective intelligence, right?
Yeah.
Like those online sleuths, they started connecting the dots and sharing their findings and, putting pressure on the authorities to investigate.
So it was like a combination of Igbar's own recklessness, but also like the vigilance of these online investigators that kind of led to his downfall.
Exactly. And it's important to note that this wasn't some random group of, like internet trolls.
Right.
These were people who were genuinely concerned about the harm that was potentially being inflicted on their own community.
Yeah, it's like such a stark contrast to the image that he was projecting, right?
Totally.
Like on one hand, you have this like seemingly generous benefactor.
And then on the other hand, you have this calculated con artist who's like preying on people's trust.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a real-life Jekyll and Hyde situation.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
And it really highlights the question of like, when we're evaluating these larger-than-life figures, are their actions actually driven by genuine altruism, or is there something more self-serving at play?
Right.
It's a tough question to answer, especially in like today's world, where image is everything.
It is.
So how can we learn to separate the genuine from the fake?
Right.
Like, how can we protect ourselves from falling victim to these, like, really elaborate schemes?
Well, one of the most important things is to be aware of the red flags, right?
Yeah.
The telltale signs that something might not be quite right.
Totally.
For example, like any investment opportunity that promises unusually high returns with little or no risk should immediately raise a red flag.
Yeah.
Like if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
That's like the classic scam tactic, right?
Yeah.
The promise of easy money getting rich quick. It just, like, plays on our deepest desires.
Yeah.
And it can really cloud our judgment.
Absolutely. And another red flag is the pressure to invest quickly.
Okay.
Con artists often create a sense of urgency telling you that you need to act now or you'll miss out on this incredible opportunity.
Right.
It's a psychological tactic designed to bypass your rational thinking and exploit your fear of missing out.
Yeah, I can see how that would work.
Yeah.
It's like those limited time offers you see everywhere,
Exactly.
It creates this, like, artificial sense of scarcity, and it makes you feel like you have to make a decision on the spot.
Exactly. And that's precisely what they want, right?
Yeah,
They want you to act impulsively without taking the time to do your research or even just think things through.
Right.
Remember, legitimate investments don't require hasty decisions. There's always time to do your due diligence.
So slow down. Don't jump in head first. Really examine the details, no matter how tempting the offer might seem.
Exactly. And that includes verifying credentials, looking for independent reviews and ratings and not being afraid to just ask tough questions. Don't rely solely on what you see on social media or in like flashy videos.
Right.
Dig deeper, do your homework, and trust your instincts.
Speaking of digging deeper, one of the things that really struck me about this case was how he used like doctored images of wire transfers to trick people into sending him Bitcoin.
Right.
It's almost like he was using technology to create like this parallel reality.
That's a really insightful observation, and it kind of speaks to this broader trend we're seeing in the digital age, the blurring of lines between reality and illusion.
Right.
With the rise of deep fakes and sophisticated editing software and social media manipulation, it's becoming increasingly difficult to discern what's genuine and what's fabricated.
So how do we navigate this landscape where technology can be used to deceive us so easily?
Yeah.
What are some of the steps that we can take to protect ourselves?
Well, I think one crucial step is to just be aware of the potential for manipulation, right?
Oh.
Don't blindly trust what you see online, even if it comes from sources that you normally consider to be reliable.
Yeah.
Always be skeptical, cross-reference information, and look for multiple perspectives.
It's like the old saying, trust but verify.
Yeah.
But like in today's digital world, that verification process becomes even more crucial.
Absolutely. And don't forget about protecting your personal information too, right?
Yeah.
Be cautious about what you share online, be wary of phishing scams, and use strong passwords for all of your accounts.
Right.
It's all about being proactive and taking steps to mitigate the risks.
Right. It's easy to get like caught up in the convenience and like connectivity of the digital world.
Yeah.
But it's important to remember that there are also dangers lurking in the shadows.
Precisely. And that brings us back to the question of Jay Mazini.
Right.
Was he a product of this digital age? Someone who exploited the vulnerabilities of online trust for his own personal gain? Or was there something more complex at play?
It's a question that isn't easily answered.
Yeah.
But I think as we continue to delve into his story, we'll gain a deeper understanding of the forces that shaped him and the choices that he ultimately made. So we've been kind of exploring this rise and fall of Jay Mazini, this guy who went from like social media stardom to facing some Pretty serious federal charges.
Yeah.
And it's a story that really makes you think about the fine line between generosity and deception,
Mm.
and how easily that line can be blurred in like today's digital age.
Yeah, and you know what really strikes me about this whole case is the lasting impact that it had on the community that he betrayed. He
Mm.
wasn't just like scamming random people, you know. He was actually exploiting the trust of a specific community,
Yeah,
people who believed in his message and saw him as a role model. And, that betrayal, it cuts deep.
for sure.
Uh,
He positioned himself as this successful entrepreneur, a devout Muslim, a champion of the people,
yeah.
and then he just used that carefully crafted image to gain access to their hard-earned savings.
Is it?
It's a violation of trust on so many different levels.
And it really underscores this crucial point. Financial fraud isn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet.
Right.
It's about real people, real families, real dreams that are being shattered. And the emotional toll can be just as devastating as the financial losses.
Yeah, it's not just about the money. It's about the feeling of being deceived,
Mm.
the loss of faith in someone that you actually believed in. It's like this ripple effect that extends so far beyond just the immediate victims.
Right. And I think that's one of the most important takeaways from this whole deep dive.
Yeah.
When we're evaluating these larger than life figures, whether they're entrepreneurs, influencers, or anyone with, a significant platform, it's so crucial to look beyond the surface. Don't be swayed by just charisma alone. Dig deeper, ask tough questions, and be wary of anyone who seems to have all the answers.
It's easy to get caught up in the hype, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Especially when you see other people who are like seemingly benefiting from someone's guidance or investments.
Hmm.
But as we see with Jay Mazini, that hype can just be a very carefully constructed illusion.
It's a reminder that critical thinking is more important now than ever before.
Totally.
Don't let your desire for quick riches or easy solutions override your common sense.
Hmm.
Do your research, seek out diverse perspectives, and remember that if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Solid advice.
Mm.
And I think that applies not just to financial decisions, but just to life in general.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't be afraid to question the status quo, challenge assumptions. Think for yourself.
That's the beauty of critical thinking. It empowers you to navigate the complexities of the world with a discerning eye, separate fact from fiction, and to make informed choices that align with your own personal values.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of Jay Mazini, the question still remains: grifter or gifted?
Yeah.
Was he a visionary leader who strayed from his path, or a master manipulator from the very start?
I mean, we've presented the facts, the evidence, and the different perspectives,
Mhm.
but ultimately the answer lies within each individual listener. What do you think? Where does Jay Mazzini fall on that spectrum for you?
Yeah, we really encourage you to continue the conversation, reflect on what you've learned, and to apply those lessons to your own lives. Because in a world where charisma and controversy collide, the ability to discern truth from deception is more valuable than ever. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and remember,
Not all that glitters is gold.